Okay, sorry, I think there is a little technical issue because of which uh, I think my system got disconnected for a few moments. Um, I'll wait for, I'll just wait for a minute before our friends join in, and then we will start our discussion regarding dividend paid. Okay, I'll just wait for a minute more for people to join in. Okay, now let's start our discussion regarding dividend paid. Okay. So here, when it comes to dividend paid, first we need to split the dividend paid adjustment into, is it dividend paid, is it equity dividend, or is it preference dividend? Okay, we need to split the dividend paid adjustment into, is it equity dividend or is it preference dividend? Then, if it is equity dividend, is the dividend paid by the holding company or is it paid by the subsidiary company? Then, if it is preference dividend, is it paid by the holding company or is it paid by the subsidiary company? Now, for some time, I will keep this discussion aside. I will first focus on equity dividend. Equity dividend paid by the holding company. We know the meaning of equity dividend, right? All of us are familiar with the concept of equity dividend. So in a concept that all of us are very familiar with, I will introduce a few interesting dimensions. Equity dividend is paid to whom, when, and exactly for what shares? All these three questions must be like, sir, what are you talking? What do these questions even mean? Right? So let us spend a few minutes to understand that aspect correctly. Okay. Equity share dividend, paid to whom? Okay. Then paid when? On what shares? Okay. Concentrate very carefully. If 1/1 x1 31st December x1, then 31st December x2. Okay. For this year, final dividend will be paid in the coming year. That we know, right? Final dividend will be paid in the coming year. Say there is a dividend. Okay. Now let us flip this. If there is a dividend paid, I'll call it final dividend. Okay. If there is final dividend paid, let us say it is on 30th of March x2. Okay. It is paid on 30th of March x2. Final dividend is always paid for the previous financial year. It is always paid for the previous financial year. Now understand the point carefully, friends. Final dividend is paid for the previous financial year, means go to the previous financial year. We can say this is the previous financial year. It is paid for this financial year. Okay. So it is paid for this financial year, but paid to whom? Paid to whom? Somewhere close to the date of declaration of dividend, I will call it DODOD. What is DODOD? Date of declaration of dividend. Before this DODOD, maybe like 1 week, 10 days, something like that, there would have been a cutoff and the directors will call for the list of shareholders, register of shareholders, where they would have asked, oh, who are our final members now? And based on that, the company would have arrived at something called as cutoff date. And cutoff date, based on that cutoff date, the company would have said, these are the shareholders. So to these shareholders, we will pay dividend. Okay, to the shareholders who are actually on the books of the company as on the cutoff date. As on the cutoff date. When will that cutoff date be declared? Basically, a few days before the date of declaration of dividend, the secretarial department of the company will have this cutoff date, and on that day, those who are the shareholders of the company will be entitled to dividend. Okay, I hope this point got answered. To whom? To those who are shareholders of the company on the date of declaration of dividend. To those people, dividend will be declared. Okay, right. This is done. Now, let us move to the next question. When will the dividend be declared? Dividend for one financial year will be declared in the final dividend will be declared in the subsequent financial year. Okay, final dividend will be declared in the subsequent financial year. Now, when you say final dividend will be declared in the subsequent financial year, if there is dividend declared, that dividend is basically for the previous financial year. No, I'm repeating. This year's dividend you are paying in the next year. So if you go to the year when the dividend is actually paid, whenever you see final dividend payment, it means that final dividend belongs to which period? The final dividend belongs to the previous financial year. The final dividend belongs to the previous financial year. Okay, right. Now, on what shares? On what shares will this dividend be paid? That is also an important question, right? So this dividend will be paid on exams postponed. Why are we just so obsessed only about that question? We already know the answer to that. They are postponed to end of July. Kindly concentrate on what we are discussing regarding this chapter, right? Okay. Now, please focus, friends. We are doing a very important discussion regarding dividends. Okay, pay attention to this. Okay, right. Now, on what shares will these dividend be declared? These dividends will be declared on the shares which were outstanding on 31st, on the last day of the last financial year. Okay, so this period, whatever we have, is ending here, right? On that day, the shares which were outstanding, for example, say on that day, 4 shares were outstanding. On those 4 shares, dividend will be declared. If on 30th of March, normally we are declaring, so on that day, dividend will be declared on these 4 shares. Will they be declared to the shareholders who are holding on these days? Not necessary. Maybe A, B, C, D were the people who were holding shares as on 31st of December. And on this day, we realize for those 4, A, B, E, F are holding those shares. Same shares. On those shares, we are paying dividend. But to whom? To the people who are, that is why I'm asking, to whom? To those who are holding these shares on the date of, like based on the cutoff date with respect to the date of acquisition of dividend. Okay, so date of declaration, sorry, not of date of acquisition, based on the date of declaration of dividend. Okay, right. I want to pause here. Did you understand these 3 points? Dividend paid to whom? When is it paid? On what shares? Is everybody clear about these 3 points? Okay, good. Now let's move ahead. We know the declaration of dividend when it is happening. We will move ahead to the next point. Okay, right. So whenever there is equity dividend and preference dividend, so first we are talking about equity dividend. Equity dividend, there is okay, right. Now equity dividend paid by holding company. There is no impact of equity dividend paid by holding company at a consolidation level. When we say there is no impact at consolidation level, it simply means there is no special treatment that you need to take with respect to the equity dividend paid by holding company. Whatever normally you do for accounting the equity dividend in holding company's books, you will do. Basically, what will the treatment be, friends? The profits of that company, holding company, would have gone down, and that would have gone into distribution, right? So it would have gone into dividend distribution, maybe resulting in cash and bank balances reducing. That would have happened. Just account for it. So there is no special thing that we need to do, mainly because of consolidation. Okay, right, good. Now come to subsidiary company. This is more important, and really we are doing this discussion to get better understanding of what we should do for equity dividend paid by the subsidiary company. Okay, right. When we talk about equity dividend of paid by the subsidiary company, I think yeah, here when the dividend is paid by the subsidiary company, add back to the column from which it was deducted earlier before performing time adjustment. Okay, what is time adjustment? You are making the time adjustment based on pre-acquisition, post-acquisition. Okay, so before that, before making any splitting of profits into pre and post-acquisition, please ensure that you are adding back what? Adding back the sorry basically ensure that you are adding back the dividend, whatever is paid, you are adding back that amount. If the dividend, whatever was paid, was earlier deducted from pre-acquisition column, then add back to pre-acquisition column. The dividend, whatever is paid, if it was deducted earlier from the post-acquisition column, add back to the post-acquisition column. Are we clear about this? This is the first thing what we should do. We are doing this adjustment in the analysis of profits, AOP, analysis of profits. Okay, right. Maybe in the interest of time, I don't think we will have time to discuss about intercompany adjustments in today's session. We might do it sometime in the future. Okay, then if the date of acquisition, now concentrate carefully, mainly we are saying there is AOP, pre-acquisition, post-acquisition. Okay, right. In AOP you have pre-acquisition, post-acquisition, and this is the final dividend. This is the final dividend, and this final dividend is for the previous financial year. Okay, right. Now date of acquisition, date on which holding company acquired shares in subsidiary, say, is here, what to do, is here, what to do, right? Or is on this day, what to do. Like this we are taking three different scenarios to understand. The holding company acquired shares in subsidiary, right, on or after the last day of previous year, on or after the last day of previous year. So this is the previous year. On or after the last day of the previous year, date of acquisition happened. Okay, Then what should we do? If dividend is declared in this period, you are saying that dividend is primarily dividend attributable to this period. Okay. In that period, were we the holding company? Were we a part of subsidiary in that period? No. We came into the picture only after this date. Means the movie, whatever actually happened even before we came into picture. Okay, so we came into picture only on or after the profit was earned by the company. So the dividend, whatever you are talking about, that dividend will be considered as a fully pre-acquisition dividend. It will be considered fully as a pre-acquisition dividend. I just want to pause here for a moment to explain one point carefully. Friends, here, when you talk about pre-acquisition dividend, I mean, as I'm discussing the session, I'm also feeling probably just the dividend adjustments can be a 2 to 2.5 hours of webinar that we should probably do, so that thoroughly we understand each case. You take 4 or 5 examples and we solve those examples. Probably that would be a greater justice to the concept. But still, we are trying to cursorily understand what it means even in this session. So here, what we are saying is, if the date of acquisition is on or after the last day of previous year, dividend, final dividend, whatever you're talking about, that final dividend is for the previous financial year. And for the previous financial year means that previous financial year, whatever profit you're talking about, that profit is fully pre-acquisition. It is fully pre-acquisition. Then what we should do is, adding back is over. Okay. Now we should deduct the we should deduct this dividend fully from the pre-acquisition column. Okay. After doing the time adjustment, you should deduct the dividend fully from the pre-acquisition column. Then if you talk about something is declared during the previous year, and what does it mean? Sorry, if the date of acquisition is during the previous year, say we acquired shares on this day. Okay. Now let us analyze this small point carefully. You acquired shares on this day. This is the period. Pre-acquisition means this is the period, right? So in this period, there is something which is partly pre, something partly post. In this also, this one to this one is pre-acquisition. This one to this one is post-acquisition. So then we should deduct from pre-acquisition column and post-acquisition column. So if you see here, what we are saying is, if it is acquired during the previous year, partly pre, partly post. Deduct accordingly from pre and post column with regard to the date of acquisition after time adjustment. After time adjustment. Time adjustment, I already said, it is to split the pre and post acquisition profits. So after the time adjustment, you will do the adjustment for dividend. Then by deducting from pre and post columns as the case may be. Then if it is on or before the first day of previous financial year, now let's talk about a completely different scenario. This is the date of dividend. Okay. This dividend is for previous financial year. Our acquisition of shares happened sometime here, or maybe on the first day of the financial year. Okay, somewhere there, so first day of previous financial year, somewhere there the acquisition happened. So if you look at this circle, even for this circle, you are saying, yaar, wo to fully pre-acquisition. That is full. Is it fully pre-acquisition? Yes. Okay. It is. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. It is fully post-acquisition. I kind of mixed it up. So you already acquired shares, and all the profits which are earned in this period were all earned after you became a part of this company. So yeah, so only after our acquisition, all the shares were acquired. So then you will say, Acha, I already came into the company only after that all this started. So then it is fully post acquisition. It will be called fully post acquisition, where you will be deducting it fully from the post acquisition column. Okay, right. Now we will repeat and understand what 3 points we primarily discussed. The 3 points are, first of all, in fact, maybe 4 points. With respect to dividend paid adjustment, whatever is the dividend actually paid, first add back to which column? Add back to the column from which it was deducted earlier, before you perform any time adjustment. So whether it is pre-acquisition or post-acquisition, whatever the case may be, you add back to the specific column. Okay, right. After you add back, you carry out the time adjustment. After you carry out time adjustment, then time adjustment basically is splitting the profit into pre and post. Okay, right, over. After that, now you need to deduct the actual dividend. So this dividend, whatever you have to deduct, that dividend you will deduct based on one of these 3 scenarios. If the date of acquisition is on or after the last day of the previous financial year, we came into this company only after the last day of the previous financial year, then we will call the entire dividend to be pre-acquisition, because from our point of view, we were not a part of S Limited when those dividends were earned by S Limited. We were not at all a part of S Limited when those dividends were earned by S Limited. So then we call fully pre-acquisition. Say other extreme, we were there in S Limited from the beginning of previous financial year or even before that. Okay, in that case we will say this dividend is fully post acquisition, because we were a part of S Limited for the entire period when it earned dividend. And the third category, even though I wrote in middle here, we acquired the shares of S Limited somewhere in between, then we would say it is partly pre-acquisition, partly post-acquisition. Okay, right. Now, accordingly, based on whether it is pre-acquisition or post-acquisition, we need to deduct from those pre and post columns. Okay, right. Friends, what I wish to do is this discussion on amalgamation. I realize it is going to probably take much longer, and what we will do is we have to commit to one thing. There might be some more prep work that you have to do. You have to try solving some problems and then come into these sessions. Then what I'll do is I will find a way to circulate some questions. We will circulate some questions, and we will then in our webinar, we will try to solve those questions. And basically you can see how you approach that question. How should we think about it? Did you solve it correctly? Did you not solve it correctly? All those things we should be able to figure out. So maybe going forward, that is one thing we will do, particularly for chapters like this. Okay, right. Thanks a lot, friends. Stay safe. Enjoy your preparation for your CA exams. Yes, they are postponed, but make sure you are enjoying your preparation and you do well in your exams. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.